So let's start with the 4 quadrants, and I'll give you a brief overview of the quadrants. The upper right quadrant, and we're going to apply, in this case, we're going to be applying to an individual human being. It can be applied to an individual hamster or anything, actually, but in this case, we're talking about the treatment of individuals suffering from the disease of addiction. So in the upper right quadrant, it is the physical objective body. This is the part that can be, the doctors love because they can analyze it, they can inject it, they can amputate it, they can do surgery on it, they can medicate it. It's the physical body, the organs, the skeletal system, the circulatory system, the brain, neurochemistry, etc. The upper left are the interiors of the individual person, and this is your feelings, emotions, love, hatreds, beliefs about oneself. These are all, we're all having our interior experience as I'm talking here, as Pam is running the camera, and you are watching this on the internet or whatever, however this makes its way out into the world. You're having your own individual feelings. One of the differences, besides this is an exterior, an objective this is an interior, as the interiors don't have locality. In other words, I can't take John's love and put it in a test tube, analyze it, weigh it, break it down chemically. It's not a physical thing. It's an interior with no locality. Okay? The lower left is the we space, which is the intersubjective space between individuals. So I'm talking to you out there, and right now there's a shared field of meaning between us, and this deals with cultural beliefs, relationships between individuals, between citizens, between communities, teams. All these things go into the lower left quadrant and are very important, as you'll see in our integral map. Also, these things have no because they're interiors, they have no locality. Again, I could not take a cultural belief and dissect it as a physical object because it's an interior. And the lower right is simply the objective, out there, plural its, if you will. It is the rest of the world. It is the this chair, it's this house, the town, the internet, nature, the banking system, changing the oil in your car, all the physical things. Okay, so in an integral system or integral recovery, we say that all 4 of these dimensions have to be accounted for it to be complete and holistic. And as we'll soon see, although we've separated them, and they can't be reduced comfortably one to the other, they're essentially connected, and you can't do anything to any of the quadrants without actually affecting the other quadrants, either in a positive or a negative way. So for the sake of having a starting place, we say that the disease of addiction starts in the brain, in the upper right quadrant of the affected individual. And I believe I've talked other places about what's actually going on in the brain, and we do know what's going on in the brain, and it is a brain disease, and it can be treated. But let's take an individual that comes into say we have our integral treatment center. So let's take an individual. He shows up and he's been on say a 6-month methamphetamine binge. Okay, well, there are going to be all kinds of issues in the upper right quadrant. There's going to be absolute depletion of essential neurochemistry such as serotonin and dopamine. There's going to be spiking of norepinephrine. There may be sores on his bodies where he's been picking. He may be losing his teeth, his gums. There's going to be a lack of nutrition. His muscles are going to be underdeveloped. There's going to be, in fact, he's going to be a wreck. He's going to be a mess. So there are a lot of things that need to be taken care of as far as detoxifying and beginning to rebuild the body. And we have a lot of really good practices to start there. So this has to be accounted for. This has to be checked out, and we'll give him a thorough examination and begin immediately to restore the body back to health and the brain to optimal neurochemical balance. In the upper left, do you believe there's going to be some issues if the upper right is so ill and drained? The answer is, Pam's saying yes. The answer is absolutely. There's going to be fear. There's going to be despair. There's going to be rage. There's going to be cravings. There's possibly paranoia, delusional thinking. I mean, meth is definitely the devil's drug. There's going to be all kinds of issues that need to be taken care of here, and the health that we're restoring here is going to help. With beginning to restore the foundations of health in the interiors, and also the work you do here is going to help restore health in the physical body, the lack of stress, and as we work through traumas and do all the depth work that we need to do to restore health over here. Now, down in the lower left, this is the relational quadrant or dimension. Do you think there's going to be some problems in his relationships with the world and the people that he should care the most about? Well, you betcha there's going to be tremendous problems. In fact, there's probably most of his relationships, by the time he gets into treatment after having used drugs at that heavy a level and at that deep stage of the progression of the disease of addiction, most of his essential, if not all of his essential relationships, are going to be in shambles. Okay, so there's going to be a need to be a lot of work, family work, restorative work is in the 12 steps, where you go back and pay back the debts and the money you've stolen, and begin to restore the social fabric that's been destroyed by the disease. Now, getting to last but definitely not least, in the lower right, there's going to be all kinds of issues. That means he's probably sold or used all his kids' college money to buy drugs, amphetamines. He probably didn't pay for his insurance, his medical insurance up to date. So there's going to be issues there. How do we come up with the monies to provide treatment? Anyway, there's just a whole set of issues here that also need to be dealt with. So in an integral recovery model, we say it starts in the brain of the affected individual, but it tetra arises, we say in integral theory. It means it rises concurrently at the same time in all these 4 quadrants. So another one of the insights of integral recovery or integral theory is that any good work that you do in any of the quadrants really helps support and lift the other quadrants. So if we're restoring the physical health, the nutritional health, the neurochemical health, and detoxing, do you think it's going to have a positive effect on the interiors of the individual?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, the chorus says. And do you think that's going to start helping his relationships with others and with the damage that's been done to these relations down here? Well, of course it is. Is it going to help the individual begin to restore his financial health, his professional health, etc., and relationships and mortgages and all these different things that have to be taken care of, his relationship to nature among them down here? Well, yes, it will. Okay, so it'll help if the interiors begin to be healed, if the traumas and the original factors, the interior factors that caused the person to begin to use drugs in the first place, if we begin to deal and heal those, you think that's going to affect his physical health? Well, yes, it does. I mean, the body-mind relationship is very, very much established in science right now. That if you have a healthy mind, it tends to give you a healthy body, and vice versa. So there's that connection down here. Is the work that we do in restoring the relationships going to help his interiors? Of course. You're going to feel resolution. You're going to feel a new connection, a sense of love and purpose and redemption by doing the work down here and cleaning up these messes. And it's going to help support a physical strong body too, because it's going to lower the stress in the brain of the individual. And as I've said elsewhere, in neurobiological terms, in the upper right quadrant, it is stress that is the public enemy #1 in the brain of the addict. So any stress, causes of stress in the other quadrants are going to cause stress in the brain and lead to renewed stress and possibly cravings and relapse. So these areas have to be taken care of. And so again, and this is something that we need to develop more. But the lower right quadrant and how one is successful in the world and in one's professional life and one's purpose and meaning and what contributes to the world is very important to these other 3 quadrants of the self. And in the early days of recovery, I think we used to do very kind of brief Buddhists like right livelihood, go with God, and do well. Well, I think more as we develop the model and it grows, we're really realizing that we're going to have to teach people and ourselves how to be more successful, how to invest in a way that's ethical, successful, and morally, how to handle your finances, how to handle your day-to-day living in the world, how to recycle, how to be in a healthy relationship with the world, and that is an aspect of recovery that I think that the integral model, and as it reveals itself, is well suited to help us begin to heal and explore as we continue to do our work in healing lives.